Sri Sachidananda Sadguru Sainath Maharaj Ki Jai. Sri Sai SATCHARITRA, an Insight, Episode 187. My humble prostrations at the lotus feet of our Sadguru Sai. By the divine grace of Sai, an attempt has been made to translate the gist of the divine discourse of Sri Ramanathan brother telecasted in Sai TV. This is purely done to share the glory of Sai and his divine teachings with more insight to the aspirants. Om Gurur Brahma Gurur Vishnuhu Gurur Devo Maheshwaraha Guru Sakshat Parabrahmam Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. Devotees, let us continue to listen more about the grace bestowed by Sri Sainath Maharaj upon Nulkar. Sri Sai Baba had given many divine gifts to Nulkar. That includes the coins that were touched by his holy hands, and those are kept in the puja altar at Nulkar's house and are venerated by the family members. Though he was given many coins, he wished to get an object as gift and to get mantra upadesh from Sri Sai Baba. His aim was to keep chanting that mantra until his last breath. That desire laid the foundation for his initiation into celibacy. We have heard in the previous episodes that Sri Sai Maharaj gave away kafni to few. Devotees might recall, we have listened in the earlier chapters about Radhabai Deshmukh, who also wished to get mantra upadesh from Sri Sai Baba and resolved to fast to death until it was given to her. To her, Sri Sai Maharaj said, Mother, when my Guru had never chanted any mantra into my ears, how can I give you a mantra? Hence, you meditate on this form. That you see, that's sufficient. If Guru will be the object of your meditation, then your life's goal will be achieved easily. Sri Sai Maharaj has given mantra upadesh only to couple of devotees during his sojourn in Shirdi. They were Kaparde's wife, who was given a nama, that is, name of the Lord, to be chanted incessantly. Now, as Nulkar also had a similar desire, Sri Sai Maharaj called him in private and chanted a mantra to him. The mantra is unrevealed, hence none knew what it was. Thus, Nulkar was one of the most blessed one to have received the mantra upadesh from Sri Sai Maharaj. He always chanted it and continued until his last breath. Sri Sai Baba was certain that Nulkar is eligible to attain liberation. Hence, the mantra was given to him. So, Nulkar's one wish was fulfilled. Now, let's see how he was initiated to sannyas. There is an interesting incident in this connection. Let us heed to it. While Nulkar was staying in Shirdi, he came for Sri Sai's darshan, and that day it was Sri Sai Baba's schedule to stay in Chavadi. The most ardent devotee, Bayaji Appakote Patil's house, is walkable distance from Chavadi, and this is one of the most important house, as this is one of the 5 houses that Sri Sai used to go for begging alms every day. From his childhood, Bayaji would play and remain in Dwarakamai always. He was employed as revenue and police of Birgon. One day, he was standing in Chavadi holding to a pillar, had a bandage on his fingers. Nulkar also happened to go to Chavadi at that time. He noticed the bandage in Bayaji's fingers and inquired, "What, Appa, Did you get hurt in your fingers? You have a bandage on them." Bayyaji Appa Kote Patil is addressed as Appa. Bayyaji replied, "No, I didn't get hurt. This piece of cloth is from the kafni of Sri Sai Baba and I had wrapped it around the fingers." Nolkar was excited to hear this because he has been longing to get something that has been touched by Sri Sai Maharaj or has been in contact with his body. Hence, in a curious tone asked, "Oh, really? How did you get that?" Bayyaji continued, "Sri Sai Maharaj would take his stone kafni, cut them into small pieces and use it as a wick to the lamps, and the remaining tits and bits will be hung on the strings. This small piece of cloth was hanging over there, and as it is from Sri Sai Baba's kafni, I picked it up and wrapped it around my fingers." Nolkar was very eager to have at least a small piece from this. Hence, he asked, "Bayyaji, can you please share a piece from this?" Bayyaji is a kind-hearted and broad-minded person. He, being a resident of Shirdi and has been associated with Sri Sai Maharaj for the past many years, thought he can always get another piece of kafni. So he immediately unwrapped the cloth from his fingers and gave the holy piece of cloth to Nolkar. Nolkar felt immensely happy. He received it with both his hands as a mark of reverence, took it close to his eyes and touched the cloth to the eyes. This happened at Chavadi, but Sri Sai Maharaj was not present there. Omniscient Sri Sai Baba was aware of the loving devotion Nolkar had for him. In the month of Margashirsha, on the day of Sri Dattatreya Jayanti, around 9 p.m., when Nolkar was staying at Satewada, Sri Sai Baba called a person and told him to go and bring Matara. That person came towards Satewada to inform Nolkar about Sri Sai Baba's call. By then, another person was sent by Sri Sai Baba with the same reason and message to Nolkar. So, when the first person got into Satewada, second person was approaching Satewada. Meanwhile, third person was sent by Sri Sai Baba to fetch Nolkar. In the midst, the first person gave the message to Nolkar, and before Nolkar could get up and go to Dwarakamai, the third person was already there at Satewada carrying the same message from Sri Sai Baba. Sri Sai Baba is an embodiment of patience, but that day it seemed as though he was restless to meet Nolkar, that he kept sending persons one after another. This urgency was so obvious and strange, which exhibits Sri Sai Baba's impatience in bestowing his grace upon Nolkar. Nolkar was running towards Dwarakamai, wondering the reason for Sri Sai Maharaj to have sent 3 people to call him in such a short span of time. As soon as he entered Dwarakamai, Sri Sai said, "Tatyaba, come on, good you came." Saying so, he turned towards the almirah where the kafnis were folded and kept. Many devotees had offered kafnis to Sri Sai Maharaj. To not hurt their feelings, Sri Sai Baba would accept it and leave it in the cupboard, but he would never discard the old kafnis even if they get torn. He will stitch them and wear it again. The philosophy of the Sufi saints is to receive less from this world but give abundant blessings in turn. True to this, Sri Sai Maharaj would wear the kafni until it turns into rags. And on that day, Sri Sai Maharaj pulled out a kafni from the cupboard, wrapped it around his body and then handed it over to Nulkar and said, "Here, you wear this kafni. This will shield you during extreme heat and cold." As soon as Nulkar received the kafni, he felt extremely happy and had a blissful feeling. He realized that this was the initiation to sannyas. Thus, Nulkar received mantra upadesh and kafni from Sri Sai Maharaj, which led him to reach great heights in the spiritual realm at a very faster pace. Following this, he was bestowed with many divine experiences. To mention, Guru Purnima Puja was commenced by Nulkar. Likewise, he was the one who initiated the procedure of group prayers. Sai devotees are aware that in every Sri Sai Baba temple, Arati is performed to Sri Sai Maharaj by singing the Arati songs in chorus using 5 wicked lamps, and all the devotees participate in that with great fervor. This was also started by Nulkar. We will be discussing the divine sport of Sri Sai Baba connected to this ritual in the coming episode. At one instance, when Nulkar had come to Shirdi for Sri Sai Maharaj's darshan, he was lodging in Satewada. Suddenly, Sri Sai Baba called out for Shama and said, "Shamya, you go and call Matara and tell him that I had instructed him to perform puja to this pillar." Devotees, this pillar is in the sanctum sanctorum of Dwarakamai. It is in front of the Duni. Sri Sai Baba used to lean his back to this pillar and sit still facing his glance at the Duni. This indicates he is being in the highest state, that is in the state of Samadhi. It is the same pillar that Nulkar was asked to worship. Immediately, as per the instructions of Sri Sai Maharaj, Shama came to Satewada and said, "I am clueless, but came to inform you that Sri Sai Baba wanted you to worship the pillar in the Dwarakamai." Nulkar was pondering thus, "What is special today that Sri Sai Baba had instructed me to do puja, and that too to the pillar?" They both decided to check the almanac calendar, and it was mentioned that was Vyasa Purnima, but still they couldn't connect the reason. Nulkar is a scholar in Upanishads. He knew what Vyasa Purnima was. Both came to Dwarakamai with all the puja articles, and Nulkar started the puja to the pillar, while Shama sat next to Sri Sai Maharaj and kept observing the actions of Nulkar. Now Sri Sai Baba said, "Shamya, why should Nulkar do all that by himself? Go and help him out. You also join with him and perform the puja." All of us are aware that Shama is a person who always takes liberty in discussing and debating with Sri Sai Maharaj. He immediately said, "Deva, don't expect me to do puja for this pillar. I am not going to do it. If you allow me to worship you, I will do it. You are my God. Hence, I will perform puja to you only, not to anything else other than you." Whereas Sri Sai Baba was insisting him to do the puja to the pillar. This argument went on between both for some time. By then, Nulkar was about to finish his puja to the pillar. At that circumstance, with a dejected tone, Sri Sai Maharaj said to Shama, "Get lost. As per your desire, perform the puja to me." The moment Sri Sai gave his consent, Shama pulled all the puja articles from Nulkar and told Nulkar, "Come on, Let's do the puja to our Guru Sri Sai Maharaj. Saying so, he made Nulkar perform the puja to Sri Sai Maharaj, whereas he did not participate in performing the puja. Nulkar understood the significance of the day. He realized that the day being Vyasa Purnima, a day to venerate the Guru, has been aptly indicated by Sri Sai Maharaj, but in the pretext of making him worship the pillar and then finally permitting to worship him. Thus, Nulkar began the worship of Sri Sai Maharaj. This is how the Guru Purnima Puja and Arati was started in Shirdi for Sri Sai Baba. Arati is usually performed using lamp with 5 wicks, but Nulkar's Arati procedure was unique. He lit the earthen lamps, held them on both his palms and moved it in circular motion, bringing it close to the face of Sri Sai Baba and performed the Arati. The most significant and first Guru Purnima Puja and Arati to Sri Sai Baba was held on a Saturday dated July 3, 1909. Nulkar was the most fortunate and blessed devotee to have commenced this important celebration to our Sadguru Sri Sainath Maharaj and the Arati ritual during Sri Sai Baba's sojourn in Shirdi. From this year, the tradition of celebrating Guru Purnima commenced in Shirdi. Likewise, the most important Arati ritual also began from this day. From then, the devotees started to bring lamps and perform Arati to Sri Sai Baba. But whenever Nulkar came to Shirdi, he performed the Arati to Sri Sai Maharaj. This greatest blessing was then passed on to Megha. He continued this tradition until his Mahasamadhi, that is, till January 1912. After Megha, it was Babu Sahib Jog, another blessed devotee, that continued this Arati ritual until Sri Sai Maharaj attained Mahasamadhi on October 15, 1918. After Sri Sai Baba left his mortal coil, Babu Sahib Jog thought that Sri Sai Maharaj has gone forever and didn't come to perform the ritual. But then Sri Sai Baba appeared in the dream of Lakshman Mama Joshi and said, "Jog thinks that I am not there, hence he is not coming to perform the Arati. So you come and do the Arati." This Lakshman Mama Joshi was the astrologer in Shirdi village and was also related to Shama. Thus, this service was entrusted to various devotees at different situations by Sri Sai Maharaj, and this tradition continues till day. 4 Aratis are performed every day at the Samadhi Mandir in Shirdi with great enthusiasm. Morning Arati is known as Kakad Arati, then at noon is Madhyana Arati, evening Arati is called as Dhoop Arati, and night Arati is known as Shej Arati. Sri Sai Maharaj blessed Nulkar to begin these 2 most significant services to him while he was in his mortal coil. Before dwelling deep into the Leela that is connected to the above events, it is necessary to contemplate on the subtle reason for making Nulkar to worship the pillar at Dwarakamai. Surprisingly, until that day, none was allowed by Sri Sai Baba to perform puja. Once, when the great devotee by name Swami Sai Sharananand sat beside Sri Sai Maharaj and was engaged in a conversation, at that moment Sri Sai Baba spoke to him the greatness of this pillar. He further added, "There is a cellar under this pillar which has tunnels connecting Dwarakamai, Chavadi and Gurusthan. Thus, it connects these three significant places. Devotees, there are more astounding Leelas experienced by Nulkar, which we shall heed in the coming episode. Bow to Sri Sai. Peace be to all. Om Sai Ram.